get ready to get sticky.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Sticky Situations. I'm your host, Rachel, but you already know that because I'm unforgettable. Everybody, let's just get some administrative business out of the way. Remember to like Sticky Situations page on Facebook, follow Sticky Situations Pod on Instagram, follow Sticky Situations Pod on TikTok. And if you want to be a guest or if you want to date me or any of my guests on this podcast, but only the single ones, remember I ask everyone's relationship status, you can send me a DM on Instagram, again, at Sticky Situations Pod, or you can email me at stickysituationspod@gmail.com. We have an extra special guest today, so I'm just going to get right into it. And everybody give a warm welcome to Izak. Izak, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hey, wait, where's my clap?
He's more advanced than I am. He has the sound effects board. We're getting there. As I told Izak earlier, I'm a startup podcast. So
startup podcast. I didn't know that term, could be used to like podcasts. Like I've heard of startup, fintech companies, right? Very apropos to your industry. I've heard of like a startup ballet lessons, even a startup yoga place, but like this is a whole new level, startup podcasting.
Startup podcasting.
Hi, Rachel. I'm happy to be here. I'm a big fan of Sticky Situations. I've enjoyed your stuff, and I'm very honored to come on. And podcast has got good vibes. So yeah, I'm looking forward.
Yeah, me too. I'm honored that you came on my podcast. And for any of you who haven't listened, well, Izak will tell you about his podcast. But I may or may not have been the best guest to ever appear on his podcast. So but I'll let him tell you about that.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I wrote up this long, like circuitous, nuanced bio, and I thought you were going to read it, but now that I have to read it, I'm just like, oh, it's, maybe let's like denote, like kind of take a step back or denote it to like a Twitter, 180 character kind of thing.
Give us
what's up, everyone from Sticky Situations? Oh my God, it's a little tongue twister.
Sticky Situation Nation, if you want to call it.
Everyone has to have a thing, like our thing. So I'm the head host and producer at the Nobody Talks Shidduchim podcast, the world's #1 Shidduch podcast, right? Everyone's like the #1 thing today, so we can't be the #1 Jewish podcast. So I kind of have to like categorize it and throw that in there. But no, we are, which is cool. I've never, I've been in camp like a big macher, and then, I guess in yeshiva, but then that's it. Afterwards you got to like really work in the real world, right? Like coming from a former Big Four to another Big Four, right? Accounting. So,
yeah.
I want to tell you that, but yes, I do the podcast. Also, I am one of the editors at Machers Magazine, and also have a day job. I work for a phone company. So cool. I'm an engineer there. I usually like to start out with jokes, but you said they can't be anything like R-rated, so I have to move on to the next topic there.
Izak. Okay, maybe we can get to your R-rated jokes if we have time at the end, but that would mean I also have to label this as explicit, which I try not to. But within your introduction, can you just tell my guests just some general information, your age, location, and relationship status?
Ooh, I was strong. Oh my God. So perfect. This is like exactly the right time for me to like, pound hard on the drink. I am 30 and New Yorker, born and raised. I grew up in the Bronx in Pelham Parkway, and I've been living in the Five Towns for about 15 years. Where specifically, I won't let you know, because we know stalkers. They show up at the house.
We don't want any stalkers.
And it's okay if they come to the house. The problem is when they make comments about the living room furniture. Like, that's the problem. It's like, who asked you, dude? Who asked you? Yeah. Now, wait, what was the last one? There was. Yeah, did I get everything there?
Relationship status.
Oh, single. Yeah, I'm single. Yeah, I'm in the Shidduch core, right? Is that a status? Being in the Shidduch core?
In the Shidduch core.
In
In the game. Playing the game.
the game, right?
We're
That's right. That's another jargon for it. You're in the game. You're in the Shidduch core. You're looking. You're single. Whatever it may be. Obviously, in the Jewish community, people like to categorize, and that's fine. I get it. It's just how everyone has to belong to like a culture. I like Denzel Washington said it. Easy as it's all about culture. So for us, we're Orthodox Jews, and there are definitely like more more intricate, actual definitions of what your culture is in the Orthodox Jewish community. But we can leave it as that because we don't want to scare away the Hasidim, who are tuning into sticky situations.
Listen, all Hasidim are welcome to listen. You might be horrified at all the stories that we tell because Shiggy Situations doesn't discriminate based off of Hushkafic status.
Yeah,
we
amen.
we
I
we
love it.
love a range of people, as you
I
can tell
love that.
by my previous guests that I've had people who range. So if you're Hasidish and want to be a guest on my podcast, send I don't know if you have Instagram, but you could definitely send me an email at shickysituationspod@gmail.com. Anyway,
Awesome. People do it. They could follow me also. I'm at Izak Izak on Instagram, and you can follow the our podcast at Nobody Talks Shidduchim podcast. Yes.
and
So
everybody should
yeah,
definitely tune in to episode 75 of Nobody Talks Shidduchim podcast. The best
yeah.
guest that they've ever had was featured on that episode. It was funny because I was being featured on the episode and I told some of my friends from around, but I don't know, being a podcaster, for some reason I was like nervous. So I like didn't tell all of my friends and I kind of forgot to tell the other friends when it came out and I listened and I was like, oh, actually this sounds good. One of my friends who I hadn't told just randomly texted me. She's like, I'm listening to you on the Nobody Talks Shidduchim podcast and you're the best guest that they ever
Oh
had.
yeah.
So just
Oh,
so you
see,
guys know, I'm plugging episode 75. I'm pretty sure it was
to-
episode 75.
totally unbiased, opine view over there. So that's good. That's it's coming from there. Yeah. Okay. So that's good. Yeah. Look. I'm so excited that we can have a conversation about Shidduchim and other stuff, life also, right?
Yeah.
Like life as an Orthodox Jew living in New York, during whatever time the category people want to timestamp onto this. People actually really came together during COVID because everyone was like, it's the time of COVID. So like you might have had the liberals before that, like it's the time of the tyranny of President Trump, and then you had the conservatives saying like it's the most amazing time under President. Everyone was like, there was just machlokas. And then bam, everyone was like, you know what? We could all agree these are the tumultuous times of Corona, and
Yep.
Wow, it was amazing. I
Yeah.
had so much fun staying at home, being locked in my house, and not seeing anybody for 2 years.
Oh yeah, I did too. I've talked about this
Great.
before. First few months home with my parents, the next year with my roommates who kept me captive and didn't let me go anywhere or have anyone over. And now I'm just like out here living my best life, which probably
Good,
is
good.
why I have so many bad dating stories now because I'm like, any excuse to get me out of the house. But like, I kind of stopped that because I'm like, these are worth the stories or getting out of the house.
That's an interesting point you mentioned. I find it to be like a very common thing. The people who, spent Corona, like COVID. I don't want to, by the way, I don't want to perseverate on COVID. I know everyone's done with it, but it's like, now I feel like we're so like past it at this point that we can talk about it now just a little bit, but like the interesting part about COVID was like I was one of those guys who were, I was home for a little bit and then I was like, I'm out of here. Like I moved my office to Muncie because it was like nothing, there was virtually no restrictions there. I took trips down to Nashville, to the south, to the east, south and the west. And I was like just out partying. It was so much fun. Took a bad situation and made it good. And then when everything calmed down and like everyone started getting out again, like everyone, like even the, quadruple vaxxed and masked people, then I don't know, all of a sudden, like me and everyone else I know who was partying during when it first started, like was all of a sudden like, yeah, you know what, I just want to be a homebody now. So it's so weird how that kind of transpired.
Yeah, I don't know. I was working from home for the first year and a half of COVID, and then I got a new job, and I was going in a few days a week. But now, like, I find myself finding any excuse to not go in the office. Like, we're recording on a Wednesday, which I did go to the office today, but on Monday it was like thunderstorming. I texted my coworker, I'm like, I'm not coming in. I live my
Oh
commute
my
is
god,
my commute
for
is a short
thunderstorm.
subway ride. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to go out in the rain. I don't want to get stuck walking in the rain. I'm just gonna work from home. But
Oh my god, oh my god, I love that. I let me tell you something. All right, when I came back from Eretz Yisrael, and for those listeners, the gap year, the seminary year. So I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So I just enrolled in a local state college. And like after my first year, classic teachers, they see like the Jewish kid and they're like, at like a state school. So there wasn't too many Jewish kids. And like, you got to apply to Baruch College. So they applied for me. They sent everything in. Bam, I got in on a quota. I got in on a quota. And my first class, like the last, I had like 6 classes that semester. So the sixth class, which was my first class that week, it was like thunderstorming, and I was like, it was thunderstorm rain, and I just like emailed the professor like, oh hey, I'm not coming in, it's just, and she's like, I know you, I saw your transcripts. This isn't state college. You better get your tuchus in. I had to like run into class. Oh my god! And I think I actually had a brace on my neck. Like I broke my ankle. I was in a cast before, and that was like the wake up call to the real world. That was like my first wake up call to the real world. We're like, no. If it's raining outside, you don't call in sick, and not like someone's got to get the work done.
until COVID.
Speaking of.
Until COVID, like, I mean, at least at my company, nobody cares. My supervisor doesn't come into the office anyway, so she doesn't care where I'm working from. I told her I'm staying home. She's like, good, don't go
Yeah.
out into the rain. Also, like, we had a late meeting. Like today, I had a late meeting, so I left work at like, well, I wanted to leave at 4:30, and then I remembered something that I had to do while still in the office. So I left before 5 o'clock. Everyone's like, "Oh, you're done for the day," and I'm like, "No, I wish," but
Oh my
no,
gosh.
nobody cares. We live in this COVID world, but I don't know. I feel like COVID like really just messed up at least my perspectives with dating. Like, I don't know. I was having like a million video calls, and like then I was so excited to go out with people in person that I didn't do my screening, and now I'm just like, I don't want to talk to you on the phone or go out with you. So I don't know. I don't know. I was talking to a friend today, and I'm like, this guy keeps texting me and asking for a phone call, and I just like don't want to. And she's like, do you want to go out in person? And I'm like, no. She's like, so stop talking to him.
Wow, but you were like flummoxed, like, what? Go out in person?
I'm like,
What's
no, I need
that
to
like?
screen
What's
him
that like?
first.
what,
No, I
what?
need to
That's
screen him first. You guys
no,
have heard all my stories.
that's literally like I have. I mean, that's like that's a triage right there, and you're in a quandary because I feel like in every single singles event, you kind of go to, whether it's over Zoom or in person, there's so many people. Like, how do you process it? How do you break it down? You're naturally your instincts are gonna take over. Like if you're a quiet person, if you're a nervous person, if you're a loud person, I'm a loud guy. Like I like to have fun. I'm like like when my Rebbe in I think like sixth grade was like, don't act like a Vildachaya, and I'm like, oh my god, that's me. I love that term. I was like, that's me. I'm a Vildachaya. I love that name. And then I found out what it meant, and I was like, oh, okay, kind of like shining away from it. No, maybe I didn't mean it. But like that's what it's like at all those events. So looking back, did the Zoom thing work? Did it work in the end?
I mean, I'm still single, so no.
Oh, okay. So I guess it didn't work.
No,
You know
nothing
what?
thus far has worked.
No, we had there was like one benefit to Zoom. There was, I think all singles have this, okay? And all people have this also. Like married people could relate to this also, you're trying to like get yourself acclimated to the neighborhood you're living in or the new neighborhood or whatever. And, there are people you kind of add to your like Shabbos invite bucket list.
Mhm.
So you kind of think like, I'm going to invite that person, but I'm just not sure. I'm just putting it on the back burner.
Yeah.
And that's what this Zoom, the Zoom Shidduch dating did. It like wiped out people's back burners because I was, for me and literally like hundreds of girls and guys who I spoke to, they're like, yeah, hello. There were girls and there were guys on my back burner that I had like for 10 years, literally for 10 years. I just never found a reason to say no, but also just was never like, I was never even inclined to go out with them. Never even inclined. Just was like, I'm just not interested. And you got to wipe it out in like in 40 minutes. You did a quick Zoom and you're like, oh, that's how you are in person. Okay, interesting. All right, cool. So maybe we can do business because I don't know if it's gonna like work out shidduch wise. That's basically that's how you know. Hello, that's how you know when a girl is not interested, or even a guy. They'll throw in like business or trying to harp on business, like maybe we'll do a deal, maybe we'll do this, and then for sure the biggest like slap in the face is like, wow, you're a great guy. I have to think of someone for you. And you're like, I'm like, sister, I know exactly what that means. Hello, why? So like, just say it, But it's all it's all good.
I mean,
Has that
I've
happened
done
to you
that.
before?
I've done it before. I actually this week I had a guy like texting me and he's like, yeah, if we actually go on a date or if we hang out as friends. And I was just like, I don't know about you, but like I don't need any more friends. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
I have enough
Well,
friends. I don't need any more.
well, that's an interesting thing. I would love to get into. I'd love to perseverate on this as much as we possibly can. But I'm finding, I grew up pretty standard, pretty classic, like everyone else. I feel like you're either or just not, and maybe not meaning like Young Israel type. At least that's when I was growing up. Young Israel was a big thing. What does that mean exactly? I don't. Who wants to even get into it? Everyone has their own identification process, and literally like growing up, it was just like whoever kind of just got like brought up to me for like I just went along with, as a friend, as a classmate, whatever. And then you kind of hit, you get to like 20 years old, 19 years old, and then the Shadchanim come and they like roll out the binders. They roll out, Mitt Romney, they roll out the binders and they roll out the resume and they're like, okay, tell us exactly, like I've never even filled out like an IRS form before at that point, and like they're wanting me to do all this tedious, minute details, and it's a lot. I think it's a lot. That's what I like to tell people. I call it the siblings my siblings in the shidduch singlehood. That's what I reference this as, and it's like, yeah, hey, just go easy on yourself. Go easy on yourself. It is rough out there. I back to that thing with the people in the neighborhood. Like, so they kind of put on a list. I was just saying, I was making that correlation. Like, they kind of put it on the list. I think I want to invite this person for Shabbos. And then, like, during Corona, they were able to just do like these community Zooms, and they're like, oh, I kind of got to know them. I kind of like gandered at them a little bit, and just they weren't for us. And there you go. So that's why it was actually a success. I feel like in so many ways, because you're able to kind of revalidate yourself as to like, hey, why this person may not be for me. But I will say, I think the girls are, very unfair in other ways. And of course, the guys, they have high expectations, like in terms of looks, but past the looks. the market's the market. So, those are a bunch of bloviated, ideas from Isaac, or from IJ. Oh my God, I was like for a second, the beginning of the podcast, we used code words because podcasting wasn't accepted. It was like this. No one knew what it was. Like we tried to get Shidduchim on at the beginning of Nobody Talks Shidduchim podcast, and we were reaching out, and people were like, "What's a podcast? What is that?" And then COVID helped. Everyone knew everyone, and now everyone knows what a podcast is. So because it kind of changed it like that negative, like those negative preconceived notions kind of changed, and now I'm just open. I'm out. Now everyone can know my name. So yeah.
So Isaac, would you like to share with me and Sticky Situation Nation some of your most entertaining dating stories? Having a dating podcast, I'm sure you have plenty, and also hearing about pre-COVID, post-COVID, during COVID, anything. Hit me with your best.
No, I have none actually. I'm kidding. I'm being facetious there, right? I have none. I don't know what you're talking about. I actually, it is so funny. Oh my God! Like you see how God works sometimes. Like I just had some person reach out to me. I don't do. Everything's a roller coaster in life. You kind of just ride the roller coaster. So when I say I'm not going to do this or that, it kind of just means like right now where I am on the roller coaster, I'm not going to try that. It could be I come back, we ride it again and, I'm going to do it differently or I'm going to do the same thing. So, that metaphor is that I got, someone reached out to me on WhatsApp and I told them right away, some girls setting up people. I said, oh, hey, totally digging the vibe. So happy you're setting people up. But I don't get set up on WhatsApp anymore. It's a lot. Like there's so many things on WhatsApp: work and friend life and family life and social life and therapists and rabbis just kind of chasing after. I'm like, I just don't need Shadchan on, but we can do it on one of these dating apps or we can do it on one of these websites. So we did that, and she basically sent me a girl that I went out with, I think maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And this girl, in the past, it's funny, I don't think I would have mentioned to the Shadchan what happened, but I told the Shadchan that this was just some girl setting me up. And the girl, he said, oh, do you know her? I'm like, know her. I'm like, this girl was hilarious. I hung out with a bunch of friends before. I think we went to Atlantic City. So my car just stunk from cigars and Atlantic City. And because that's, we just drove back. And I literally drove back. I had a date with this girl. Let's call her Hillary. I don't know. Hillary could be a Jewish name. Whatever. Hillary's good. And I literally had a date with this girl, Hillary. And when I got to her house and I met her family and I said, shkoyach to the father, shalom aleichem. We went down to my car. Actually, this might even be 5 years ago already. And she opens the door and just a cloud of smoke comes out and she's like, what is this? She's like, this has to be aired out. Air this out. I will not go in. I refuse to go into the car. I'm like, whoa, bro, it's not even gonna work out then. That was crazy. So I told the Shadchan literally just a few days ago, I told this lady, I'm like, yeah, that's kind of where we left off. And I said, is it hilarious? Oh my God. Yeah. So she went on the date because I was like, well, I could let you go now, but I feel like I was really looking forward to dinner. So I'm in my mind thinking, okay, I want to go for a good dinner. So and I want to have a nice, cute Jewish girl with me for dinner. So I'm just I was like, okay, is it aired out now? And in my mind, I'm thinking I know it's not going to work out, but you're coming with me. You committed, honey. This is, so, but it was in her innate response to that. Out of respect, good for her. And yeah, no, I told her that story. Oh my God, can you imagine? Literally, she just got brought up to me a few days. It was good. It worked out perfectly. I had like a great story. Did that ever? What was your fastest date? I'm curious.
My fastest date?
Your quickest date? Yeah.
In person?
Yeah, in person, right? You can't count Zoom. Like 6 minutes on Zoom doesn't do anything.
My fastest Zoom date was 2.5 minutes, but in person?
Oh my God.
In person, honestly, I think it was like pretty recent. I told this story, I think, on my second episode. The guy was just like, it was off to a bad start from the beginning. And I was just like not happy. He like did a lot of things to like piss me off before the date and like make me very skeptical. All my friends told me like don't even go out, but I was like, I already committed. I'll just go, whatever. And I went on the date. I mentioned this a lot in my podcast. I send all of my friends my location when I go on dates. And so
oh wow. Little Jewish anxiety right there. What do you think?
I bring my weapons with me also.
Okay, okay. At least you come prepared.
Yeah, I come prepared for the worst. So
that's true. Look, you gotta be prepared. That's good. You're a pioneer.
Yeah,
that's great.
So and like they know that my dates are long. I talk a lot. So even if the date's like not going that well, I'm a talker, so I can schmooze however long I need to. But this time I was just like not having it. So I mean, I was at the date probably for about an hour and a half. He was at the date for probably about 45 minutes because I got there at our designated time / I was 5 minutes late because I always try to come 3 to 5 minutes late. And he was still circling for parking for like 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And like, then I was like even more mad. And then we had like one drink and I'm just like, he's like, do you want another one? And I'm like, no.
Wait, so you're counting the driving time as the actual date then?
No. That's why I
said the waiting time.
I was at the date for an hour and a half.
He was there
for about an hour.
Oh, so that's nice of you. You're like taking that part away. Wow, nice.
Yeah.
So that time.
At least that's like the fastest date I can remember. I probably had other ones that like lasted an hour. I definitely went on a date with this guy. Like this was a long time ago. Probably early in my dating career. I don't remember. He lived in my neighborhood at the time, and that neighborhood didn't really have much going on. So we like grabbed Starbucks and like sat in the park, and like I knew it was not a match from the second I got there. And so we like talked in the park, and after an hour, I'm like, yeah, so I should go home. He walked me home, so I guess that counts as part of the date. And then the funny part of that date, I actually can't believe I haven't told the story yet. I hope he's not listening, because we're actually kind of friendly now. He's a nice guy. It just like was.
It's all good.
But
he knows girls have to lament sometimes. It's that's part of it.
So, but the funniest part of this date was the epilogue to it. So months had gone by, and so I think we went out in like May or something. And it is Simchas Torah. And I was in my neighborhood. I didn't go home. So I stayed in the city and I was doing meals with friends. And I show up to my meal and guess who opens the door? It's that guy. I hadn't seen him in months. And he's like, hi, Rachel. He didn't acknowledge my other like 2 or 3 friends that were with me. He was just like, hi, Rachel. How are you doing? And then throughout the entire meal, he brought up so many different things that I said on the date. Like we went out for 1 hour. Like it was an hour-long date. And he kept bringing stuff up. I was so uncomfortable. And then my friends informed me that he was going to be at no, this is at lunch. It was a lunch meal. My friends informed me that he was going to be at dinner too, because I was doing meals with like the same group of friends. And so I did what any sane person would do. I got totally wasted before dinner and showed up very drunk. He was very turned off by it. And I'm like, yes, mission accomplished. And honestly, like I don't even drink that much. Like I don't show up. Well, actually in those days, like my roommate and I used to pregame everything, but like I really pregamed. And yeah, so then after that, he was no longer obsessed with me, and I was very happy about that. But he did become
Oh
obsessed with
God.
like different consecutive roommates of mine. But it's fine. Like I said, he's a nice guy. I mean him. I don't mean any
Now you bump into him
will.
everywhere, right? Well, you should have used the
I
line
used
I
to.
just said just a few moments ago, like, "Oh, you're a great guy. I have to think who I'd have in, who I'd have in mind for you,
Yeah, but he would
something
hold
like
me
that,
to it,
right?"
and I don't have
But
any.
not right. No, but not everyone has the sentient to like be perceptive about these things and grasp it. But also, I will say on the guy's end, because I've been guilty of it, where you know, not like some of us guys, 99 out of, let's say 9 out of 10, let's not even go that high, but 9 out of 10 girls are not going to kind of like fall for you right so quickly, or not even fall for you like in a passionate love. Of course, like some Cinderella stuff, not even that. Just like are gonna be wanting to be near you, so you kind of have to placate a little bit, put on a little show, or um kind of like stroke the ego a little bit, And let me tell you something. That works. Now, obviously, as a frum Jew, everyone has to, if you have a raya, if you have like something to say, raya, like you gotta bring the proof. I remember the Bachelor series. Okay, and this is Bachelor in
One of my
Paradise.
favorites. Oh, Bachelor in Paradise is the best of the
Right.
whole series.
So you remember, right? So you remember several years ago, there was a guy named Evan, and there
Oh
was
yes, yes,
right,
Evan and
and there was
Carly.
yeah, Carly. So Carly was in Chris's season, okay, right? And she was in, and he was in, what was season was he was in?
He
Probably
was in
one of the
JoJo
girls,
season.
JoJo, yeah. So I stopped watching like a few, 2, 3 seasons, probably no, probably 4 seasons ago, but I've watched like since the beginning till then. And everyone remembers, she had no interest. No one believed it. The audience was like, okay, why is he pushing? But girls like consistency. That's a big thing. Girls
Yeah,
really
unless it's
do like
creepy.
consistency. Oh yeah, if it's creepy, you have no chance. Like in How I Met Your Mother, they call it the
Yeah, the
the
Dobler
the
Dahmer.
Dobler and the Dobler Dahmer theory, right? So there is that, but you have to risk it. Life's about taking risk. I'm a risk taker, so I enjoy taking that risk. And I have found some recent moves that have helped. One move is to say, hey, I know you don't like me, but we could be friends, or kind of just set the expectations for a lot of the, again, from girls. I don't know what it's like with non-Jewish girls, or as I tell my guyish coworkers, like the normal world. I don't know what it's like in the normal world. I only know what it's like in, Yehuppetsville, the Jewish ghetto. And I just say like that works sometimes, because you kind of like just reaffirm them that, hey, this is, I'm just a normal person. I'm not here to jump on you. I'm not here to, not physically jump, like just figuratively jump on you. Like, it's all good, and that's something where I'm going to say something a little deep that I have found with a lot of like from girls, where who go to like base Yaakov, and like Rabbanim, they're great. I love the Rabbanim. They love me. They're great people, but they kind of like just instill this innate fear in so many of them to just try to like have a friend relationship. Now I get it if you're at an age where it's not appropriate or needed. Example, early years of Shidduchim, in your early 20s. But when you get a little older, like for a girl, if a girl's 25, like you have to start thinking like, what do you want to do? Because like maybe I have to be a little bit more engaging. Maybe I could work on my I could work on my spiel. You could critique yourself. That those are some things I've adopted, and those are some things that people like who are successful adopt. They'll say, you know what, like what have okay, maybe I haven't gone out with a guy like this, or I haven't gone out with a girl like that, or I haven't had friends, and that's obviously brings us to the premise of this specific talking point. Is like, try to have more guy friends. Like if you're a girl, have more guy friends. If you're a guy, try to have more girls who are friends.
I
And
will
that's something
argue
that I'm
though,
being a proponent of.
I will argue though, like 100%, like I live in a community, guys and girls are friends. I found though that there needs to be boundaries in place when it comes to platonic relationships. Personally, and if any of my guy friends are listening to this, I don't mean it as bad as it sounds at first. I only want to be friends with a guy if there's something in it for me. Like I don't need to have a pen pal in a different state that's a guy. Like this guy who I was talking to who wants to be friends. He doesn't live in my community. Like even if there's something in it for me is someone to talk to at shul, like Kiddush, or somebody to have over for Shabbat meals, like that counts. And like that's a friendship, but like I'm not calling you crying with all of my it like all of my stuff. Like there has to be like clear boundaries because I do think in a situation where
It could be
both
crossed. Yeah.
both parties are heterosexual, feelings get caught, and I've been on both ends of that, and it's not a fun experience from either end. And I
Yeah.
mean, yeah,
Capricious things will happen. The mind's going to change. The mood's going to change. Things are going to change. I'm trying to think of like a good movie analogy here. A good like the only thing that I have is like How I Met Your Mother, when Robin and her sexy chef boyfriend, that guy, he was also on One Tree Hill. I can't remember his name, but they broke up, and then she kind of like ran home to Ted, and Ted's just like, and all of a sudden they're making out and they're like together, and then they realize it was a mistake. So there are those moments that it could happen, it could happen.
We're gonna have to an intermission really quick.
Yeah, you have sponsors. Yeah.
Here on Sticky Situations, we tend to focus on bad dating stories, but sometimes dates do go well and lead to proposals and weddings. Who would have thought? And what do all of those require, you might be asking? Well, the answer is flowers. Who doesn't want flowers from someone they've been seeing? Don't forget, flower petals and bouquets needed for proposals. And that's even before all the flowers that go into weddings. Sticky Situations is sponsored by Primrose Flower Shop. In my opinion, Primrose is the coolest flower shop around and has the best customer service to fulfill all of your floral needs. Primrose offers a range of services from your basic bouquets to subscription services where you can get flowers delivered once a week. They deliver all over the tri-state area, including Manhattan. Primrose does weddings, bar and bat mitzvahs, and other simchas. I've personally been to a wedding where Primrose did the flowers, and the work they did was beyond gorgeous. Primrose additionally offers in-store proposals, including a romantic setup with candles and music. Primrose is located at 2922 Avenue M in Brooklyn, and the phone number is 929-376-9815. You can also follow Primrose on Instagram at PrimroseNY. So, if you can't get someone out of your head, buy them some flowers from Primrose. They'll either love it or they'll find you really creepy. But regardless, the flowers will be out of this world.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think it just gets a little bit sticky when it comes to being friends with members of the opposite gender.
Yeah,
but
sticky.
like it does cause I've been in some sticky situations around that, but I don't know. I think you just need to keep a comfortable boundary. But I will say, when it comes to dating, guys are better off being friends with girls because girls will, if a girl has a guy friend who's a good guy, she'll set him up. Guys, not so much. Like, I had one friend who one time actually had an idea for me, but he was like, he called me at one specific time and I didn't answer my phone because I never answer my phone. And because I didn't answer,
you never answer it.
Well, it's on silent unless I'm like staring at my phone to see the call.
Because you're a working millennial also. So like working millennials we don't answer our phone.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, listen, sometimes I am staring at my phone and that's the time that if you call me, I'll answer. But other than that, like if someone just calls me out of the blue, I probably won't answer. But he had called me at one point in time, and I think I called him right back, like within a few minutes. And then he didn't answer. And then he's like, oh yeah, I called you and you didn't answer. And now the guy is busy. And I'm like, okay. So that was a fail. And then to this day, like sometimes I ask him, I'm like, yo, whatever happened to that guy you wanted to set me up with? Like, is he single? Like, and he's like, I don't even remember who it was. And I'm like, guys are good for nothing. Guy friends, good for nothing.
See, you have to, you need, I'll tell you what you need to work on right there. You need to enjoy playing phone tag. You have to learn how to love playing phone tag, with guys, it's interesting. Just 2 nights ago, I just got into Breaking Bad. I just did it. People clap.
I haven't watched it.
So I just got into Breaking Bad. It's crazy. Like, I have such good taste in films and stuff and TV shows, but like I never got into Breaking Bad. But that's because I realized you just got to pick it up at the second. First, watch the first episode and then just start from the second season. That's my advice. And this is coming from an avid, staunch Game of Thrones, Sopranos, Billions. Even though I'm not really a fan of Billions anymore, but during the time. What else is like an amazing, Friends, How I Met Your Mother, right? So I'm like very dedicated. And I was watching with a friend who was coming over. We do a guy friend, a bro. There's no guy friends, it's bros. As my bro came over, we do like Monday night movies. And then so we did a movie, and then we were like, yeah, listen, I'm not ready. So we just like kind of went with it. So we decided to watch some Breaking Bad. He got me into it, and then we've just been doing Breaking Bad. So we were watching it, and it's that second season. It's the second season where Aaron Paul, I forgot his name already. I'm sorry. I'm so in the beginning. Aaron Paul, he's like with his girlfriend, and her father like knocks on the door. She didn't expect him at all. The father's there. She doesn't know what to do, so she just decides to be like, oh, this is a potential tenant, that this is not my boyfriend. This is just a potential tenant. And after it kind of like subsided and the father left, Aaron Paul's like, what the hell was that? And she's like, you trust me. And he just walked out of the room. And it's like, you have to define your terms of a relationship, whether you're dating the person, whether you're not dating the person. But obviously, in this situation, we're discussing Shidduchim, Jewish dating. You have to define those terms. I think that's what is definitely holding people back today, is where they're not defining what they need in the beginning early enough. And certainly in the Shidduch world, I guess the more from you go, you're working with the shadchan, you're working with the matchmaker. You don't. It kind of takes that part out where you can like stomp your feet and walk away and kind of like shake people up. And then on the other side of it, in the more modern world, and I've been on both. I've been in the yeshivish world, been in the modern world. I don't know. I haven't picked a side yet. It's literally Westeros. You have to choose Queen Daenerys or Queen Cersei. Queen Cersei, totally. But I'm on that side. You have I guess like you just have the J swipe Tinder thing, like, this person's not, next one. I don't know fully. It's been some time since I've been, in that scene. But I don't know. You feel like that? Does that like kind of reconcile with you a little bit?
I mean, like personally, I define my terms, but I'm not afraid to tell people how it is. I have a dating application that I put on my dating profiles, and guys have to fill it out. And if they don't pass it, I don't want to date them.
Oh, okay, cool.
And I've
maybe
talked about this. I mean, it is mostly a joke because I think I'm hilarious, but there is some truth to it. And like all the questions are based off of like things that I want or things that like I've been on dates and have gone not well.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, I feel like I'm straight up with guys, and like I think it's more as I got older. Like I'll talk to a guy, and if he's not what I want, and if I don't think it's gonna go well, I won't go out with him. Like I had a
How long does that take usually?
Usually I can tell in a phone call. Like I had a phone call with a guy.
Ooh, on the phone call.
Well,
oh, you're just basing it off of the phone call.
No. It depends. It depends on
but
what
you can tell. You can like garner
sometimes you can tell.
responses. I get that. Yeah,
you can tell if there's chemistry. And like, or if a guy like blatantly says things and you're like, that's not me, I don't think this is gonna work. Like, I don't know. I had a call with a guy like probably a couple months ago. Not even, it was like a month ago. And he was like, he was in New York, he wasn't from New York. He was in New York for the weekend. He's like, do you want to go out at this time? And I'm like, no. I'm like, at first he had asked me like dinner, and I'm like, okay, dinner's fine. But I had the day off from work,
Dinner.
and he's like, okay, I could go out between 1 and 4. And I'm like, well, between 1 and 4 is not dinner, sir. So I'm like, that's my whole
One
day
in
off.
four.
That's my whole day off. And I don't want to spend my whole day off talking, like going out with you. And also,
Oh my
like the types
gosh.
of things he
Oh
was
my
saying on
gosh.
the phone
That's
call,
just
like,
that's just uncanny right there. Like what? Yeah, I could do 1 to 4. And hopefully he
like,
didn't say a.m.
he's
Hopefully
like,
he didn't. Yeah,
he was
1
like,
a.m. to 1
yeah,
to 4 a.m. Can
he
you
was saying
imagine
that
that?
he forgot what time his train was, and his train was late. And like, I tried to work with him. I was like, why don't I meet you by Penn Station where your train is leaving from, and like we can get ice cream or something. Like, I just don't have time between 1 and 4. You
Oh
told me
my
like dinner,
God.
so I'm expecting 5 o'clock and later.
That's what's out there.
Like,
This
yeah.
guy's giving guys bad rep.
And then, but then he was like, he was describing his personality, and he is like, yeah, I'm like more quiet. Some people say I'm maybe socially awkward. And I'm like, so you're asking me to spend my whole day off hanging out with a socially awkward guy? Like what?
I love that. That's great.
I'm not
Yes.
interested.
Yes.
And then he kept bringing up,
How were you not interested? This sounds like
he
you're
really sold
Bashir,
himself.
Rachel.
He really
I'm
sold
kidding. I'm
himself.
totally kidding.
Like,
well, first of all, that's attack. First of all, that could be attack. Like it could just be this guy is just like a ditz, he's a ditz.
mm-hmm.
That could just be it, But it could be a strategy. Like there are daters out there who will not make dating a part of their life at all. So meaning that they're gonna, if a date comes up, if something's shidduch related, they're just kind of like passively gonna take it in. And that's basically what he was doing with you. Now he might have been putting in a lot of effort. We'll never know. I mean, we don't know who this guy is. So he might, but at the end, oh, okay. I'm like, people are calling me now. Like, what's going on? I'm getting phone calls. No one calls me.
So popular.
But yeah, so that's a strategy. I mean, it just depends on the strategy. And of course, I'm happy to hear that people change up their strategy. It's good that you're changing it to do the same thing over and over again, definition, and expect the same results is insanity, right? We all know that. You want a good, insane movie? Go watch Shelter Island with my man Leo DiCaprio. I just like everything he's in. I'm not like, there's no crush. There's no like, follower right here. Like I like Joe Rogan. I love Bryan Cranston. He's actually on that show, right? Who's my favorite? He's like one of my favorite actors of all. Who would yours be, by the way? I'm getting? I'll tell you what. I'm getting like Sandra Bullock vibes from you. I want to put that out there.
I don't know. I do like most
of what I don't know to Sandra Bullock.
I do like most of her movies. I don't even know if I would have a favorite actor. I mean,
okay.
I could tell you who I think is hot. Like, I'll watch any movie with Zac Efron. Like,
oh, me too. Hey, what are you doing Monday? It's
The Bachelor.
Oh, I love. He's good. I tell you, he saved his career, Zac Efron. He remember he was like this Disney little goody two shoe boys, and then he kind of got caught with this like lesbian actress from the Fast and the Furious. I can't remember her name. And then he just decided like, I'm just gonna play like the preppy badass guy, and it worked. And he just and like he's now Mr. Like he's now. He's also now Zac. I remember him on this show on the CW. What show was he on in the CW?
Was he?
What? Say again?
Was he on a show in the CW?
Yeah, he was. He was on with Jesse McCartney. He was on that Somerville or Summerland or something like that.
Oh, I didn't watch it. Wasn't that only like one season?
I have no idea.
I don't know.
My
friend was
never watched
Jesse McCartney,
with the girl from Full House, with what's her name? Aunt Becky. Oh my God, good times. Hello. Do you feel like movie like movies and TV show, is that a good connection for people to
No,
like to end up to dating?
no, because if that were
Oh
the
no.
case,
Oh, what is so
if
far? You
that's the
said no to this, no to
case, if that's the case, then I'm gonna die alone. Because literally, like
that.
my my only interest, I have a very hard time sitting through movies. Like I can't. After sitting through a long day at work and focusing, when I sit down to watch TV, I need to totally like be able to not focus on anything. So like
Yeah,
my brand of
yeah.
TV is going to be trashy reality TV, as all of you know, because I talk about it all the time. The Bachelor and the Real Housewives, like,
Oh yeah.
and
Oh, those
like
are good shows.
there aren't that many guys who will willingly sit through The Bachelor and Real Housewives. Some
Well,
say,
I grew
some
up in
say they will, but
a girl house. Like we grew up with sisters. That's like no bros. So I had to like adopt bros growing up. Yeah, but yeah, I am. I was, to quote one of my sisters, they said it best. They literally said, I watch this because I just feel better about my life at the end of it. Now, I was just watching it because like I was like these are like beautiful women and I liked the ambiance and where they were doing, and obviously at some point I caught on. I'm like, I can't watch this. This is like too much. We went over that. I said, do I say this now? The my Real Housewives
no.
punchline.
Save it for the
Okay,
end.
save
Save
for
it
the
for
end.
the end.
Well,
Real
yeah. So
Housewives
I
timeline.
remember. I remember. So I didn't know. You told me in the prep that Real Housewives of Dallas was. I didn't know. I love Stephanie Holman. Oh my God,
Yeah, she's
she would
hilarious.
have. We would have.
She has a
Oh my
podcast.
gosh, I would have like should have dated her. No question. I sent you a picture of me
And
meeting
Ebony.
Ebony William. Oh my God,
Mhm.
I love Ebony. I was such a follower. She used to be a Fox News contributor. She used to be on the Bill O'Reilly, the O'Reilly Factor, the O'Reilly Show. So she was like a like the legal analyst. She did a great job. I loved her. You know what? Let me tell you, like she's total opposite politics and all that stuff. So it was cool that I could like someone like that. I liked her mind, strong values. You hear that, Shad Khanum out there? Like here's just that's why a little bit I was like trying to date Svarty girls. I was like maybe if I have like this Svarty girl who like speak her mind and just because that's like Ebony. She's just like speaks her mind. That's it. No games. I don't know what she's like on the show now. I haven't seen Bethany Frankel also. Bethany, I love
Bethany's cool.
Bethany. She's the first. She's like Bethany Frankel is like really one of the first influencers out there. She's one of the first. She got her start on the show like the first season, right? She was on like the Real Housewives. Then she left, and then she took over for like she had like an Ellen DeGeneres show.
Yeah, and
No one remembers it. No
she
one
had a
remembers it.
spin-off.
She had Bethany TV.
She had a couple spin-offs
Um,
on Bravo also. I got into
yeah,
the
she had a spinoff
Housewives
on
like
Bravo.
during the pandemic, so I haven't watched any of the spin-offs. Um, but I know them because I do my research. Um, but wait, so I could talk about Real Housewives literally all day because that's what I do with my time. Well, I really watch while I work, but I want to hear more of your dating stories. And if you don't have more, then I thought it would be fun to do a little bit of a podcaster to podcaster discussion about dating relating to the
Okay, fine,
podcast.
fine. Okay, fine. Relating to the podcast, I know. Oh
Relating
my
to the
gosh,
podcast.
I dated a Real Housewife. I'm just kidding. I don't know. Actually, not. I wish. I was
Listen,
gonna. Okay,
you want
fine. I
to
was
date
like.
a real housewife? Maybe there will be a Jewish one. I mean, I do aspire to be the first like Jewish from Real Housewife, but like I got to be a wife first, and I got to like be famous. So everyone go to this podcast.
Isn't it interesting like that juxtaposition there where like we could relate in the Jewish community because we're kind of obviously everyone knows the times we're living in, this and that, whatever, but housewife is at some I think before this show started having like like a derogatory aspect to it, or maybe before, depending on really how you after, maybe depending on how you look at it. Like, no, yeah, my mother's a housewife, or my sister's a house, or a homemaker is also another term. And here are these women who are like, now like actual housewives,
A
so
lot of
there
them
was
have,
the term before,
I
the
feel
term
like,
before might have been good, and then now it's
at
kind of
least in the
tarnished from that.
modern day, a lot of them have their own like thing going on. Like a lot of them have their own businesses or careers. I don't
Yeah,
know,
they're
like
very, yeah, they're good role models.
podcasts.
Absolutely.
I listen to all
Yeah,
of their
yeah,
podcasts.
yeah. I'm gonna listen to some of them. It's a good idea, actually.
I'll
um,
send you all the ones that have podcasts.
I know, I know. What's a crazy story? I'll tell you, like, I only revisiting is something that I definitely would love to do. I've technically one time revisited, but the girl contacted me, so I never actually was successful in a revisit. And if people don't understand what a revisit is, meaning someone who you dated before and then tried getting back together. I just said in the beginning of the show that the podcast that there was this girl brought up. I was like, yeah, I would give it a shot if she like changed and matured, and she didn't. So I didn't think it was shaykh or relevant. But it happened to me once where I went out with a girl and we actually met up. I don't pick up anymore on the first like date or two. And that's interesting. I hope girls are like, what? IJ doesn't do this,
I don't
I
like
don't do
guys
it
who pick me
anymore.
up on a first date.
I don't, yeah, because
I don't want them to know
it's
where
a
I live.
suburban thing. Like I'm in the suburbs, you're in the city, or wherever you are. I guess maybe you're in that kind of world. But basically, I realized like, no, let me give the girl her space. She'll have her own car, she'll have her own space. I don't need to know where she lives. And I've found like women to be like what is it, reciprocate, like they like they're a little bit more at ease with that. So that is something that I am recently experiencing. So anyway, so basically I brought that up because I mentioned to this girl, yeah, let's just meet up. So we met up, and when I sat down and I was talking to her, I was like, how are you? We'll call her Hillary again. I'm like, Hillary, no, let's call her something else. Let's say Maria. Okay, right. Character I just saw in a movie on it. So I was like, Maria is so, how are you? Like, oh my God, long time, because it's a blind date you're set up. And she's like, do we know each other? And I'm like, we went out before. This is like the only one. This is the second girl I did. So, and I'm like, oh my God, you don't remember? And I'm like, it's okay. I get it. Like, how would you remember? You've probably been out with 80 guys since me. The last time we went out was like, I think 6 or 7 years before that. And I'm like, I'm not shocked. And we had a fun time. We hit a bar. We had DMC. She told me about her stuff. I told her about my stuff. And we're friends today. We're not proactive friends, but like haven't spoken to her in some time. I should text her after, see how she's doing. But that was a cute story right there. Like I think if you just kind of see your potential date as a person who's also struggling, who also probably has a lot of shiz to deal with, and they're just trying to figure it out also, you could really go a lot farther in the journey, because that's what it is. It's just the journey. On a religious level, our souls are meant to connect. It might just be for a minute, for an hour, or it might be something real that we're supposed to really work some magic off of. Don't think, hey, this is going to add to my dating bench or my resume, or my actual resume, my resume of girls I went out with, resume of guys I've been out with. But what you can really take out of it is that, hey, like, I have a chance to help this person. And at the very minimum, and obviously you don't want to go around and save everybody, but help them as in just show them that they're good girls out there. They're good guys out there. Just be like, yeah, normal guy, chill. Just show them what it's like to be like a nice, good person who can have a real good conversation. Say like what could we get out of this? No, I did that with the girl at a singles event like a few months ago when I was in a serious relation. I was in a serious relationship. Like, what serious relationship? I had a girlfriend at the beginning of the year, and then short time in the Jewish world, like 5 months is a lot. People have to realize it. 5 months is a lot. So I had a girlfriend at the time. We broke up, and then I went out. And I just ran to the singles event, and I'm at the singles event, and I met this girl who I literally met 10 years ago on a singles event. I was like, oh my God. First of all, I was just flummoxed. I was like, how are you still here? I couldn't even get my stuff together. And I'm just like, so she's like, oh, Baruch Hashem. I don't remember. I'm so sorry. I don't remember. I'm like so-and-so, let's put it on the side. Like, are you doing good? Because you're an amazing person. I'm like, you're an amazing person. I'm feeling your pain that you're here. I get it. It's like, oh, Baruch Hashem, my time's gonna be. I'm like, it is. I knew like where she was taking it. She was like very politically, hashkafically correct, right? I think that's what I like to call it, hashkafically correct. That should be a podcast. So hashkafically correct. It's like, Baruch, everything I was saying, like, yo, I'm like, it's okay, but I'm like, honey, it does suck, when you're no, it's Hashem's test, and I'm like, it's true, but you can cry about it. You could tell me it sucks. I'm like, you could tell me it sucks. I'm like, have you ever been in a deep committed relationship? Have you ever been in that? She's like, oh, I don't want to talk about my personal life. I'm like, I don't. I'm like, I'll see you in 10 years when I'm hosting. I'll be here hopefully with my wife. I'm like, I hope as well. But we just don't ride against the wave. Seriously, don't surf against that wave. Get up on the paddleboard, surf with it. Some of us our paths sometimes have to be taken in different paths. Our path has to be taken down different roads. It happens a lot. Maybe you're supposed to be more religious. Maybe you're not. Maybe you're supposed to be less religious. Maybe you're supposed to hang out with this group of people or that group of people. I can say at 30 years old, having been in this thing, as the Italian mafia calls, as a Jewish Shidduch daters call, this thing being the Shidduch system. And I mean, by the way, Rachel, people like you also. Maybe you're not like, black hat from. It's our Shidduch years. Whatever you are, you're an Orthodox Jew. You're getting off the boat, like I say, getting whatever till you're married. These 20, like hopefully soon as possible, but could be 20 years.
I hope not.
Don't.
If I'm still single in 20
no,
years,
it's not. No, of course it won't. It won't be. I won't be. That guy. I could. The guy's behind. He's peeking through the window again. That guy. You got to just give him a chance.
He's creeping.
That's the creeper.
So, I live high up in my apartment building.
Okay.
And,
well, he rented a dolly. He rented a window painting dolly. No. Okay. But seriously, like, people don't ride against that wave. It's so imperative. Take a chance, take a risk. I did. I changed things up every, I'd say 6 to 8 months. I say, is this working for me? Is this working for me? And I get it. Like, your friends are getting married, they're moving on, this, that, the other. At the end of the day, forget about even marriage. You just want to like be with someone who's cool and gets you. They may not be your person. I get that. They may not be. That's a tall cup to order. Everyone deserves it, but timing's the problem. Just timing.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else will kind of get to fall into place. But if you haven't looked, if you have looked back and you said, oh wow, I really haven't changed in 10 years. Well, I think that's a problem. Now, not anything to do with your core values or who you are in your innate, that is fine. That's, if it was good, great, make it, that's good. But like, make it great, make it better. Take this opportunity. How do you do it? Well, that's a whole other thing to talk about. I'll recommend some therapists and rabbis and podcasts that you can listen to get there. But you really have to be in tune with yourself and kind of hear that heart throbbing and that mind trying to just breathe, the mind breathing, and trying to figure out like, hey, what am I doing here? Where am I going? What's the
I
purpose of
agree.
all
I think sometimes we get really comfortable with who we are and what we're doing. And it's I mean, I even had that. I after college, I moved to the neighborhood that all of my friends were moving to. And I lived there and I saw a bunch of my friends move out. I saw a bunch of my friends get married, and finally COVID hit and I'm like, why am I still here? So a year ago, and I've talked about this on the podcast, I picked up my whole life, moved it to a different neighborhood about 100
this?
blocks south.
Wow.
And I don't know, like, I mean, have I found like my person yet? No. I mean, in the last year, I have like, I've dated some really bad guys, but as the
Ooh,
podcast knows, I had a couple really good relationships. But yeah,
nice,
you just
nice.
sometimes gotta
I
shake
know. I
it
heard that one.
up.
I heard that one.
Yeah.
Whoa.
But okay, before we wrap up the episode, Isaac, I want to ask you a couple questions and you can decline
Yeah.
answering them. If
Okay. Okay. Decline. Great. Finally, I have the power.
I mean, it's mostly my questions because I'm as a podcaster, as I told all of you before, I had a podcast previously, but it didn't take off like this one has. And this one
Okay.
is
Cool.
specifically related to dating. So it's come up in my own dating life. So as a fellow dating podcaster, I just have a couple questions. So number one, which you don't again, you don't have to answer. Have you dated any of your podcast guests?
Oh yes, a lot of them. A lot of
Um,
them. Yes. Yes. And it got serious with my most serious relationship ever in my life came from a podcast follower, which I spoke about in episode 72, my long distance fairy tale. And I did. I fell in love. We fell in love, and it happened to be like it was very, very like apropos, Mina Shemayim, you know, I am very, very thankful and blessed to have had that time, you know, with her. And yeah, look, yeah, just hey, people just started out with like you have a fun, cool podcast, you know, but she knew what she wanted. She knew she wanted the IJ Meister. So like whatever.
okay, so that was going to be my next question, dating a podcast fan. Um, okay, here's my real question.
Yeah, right.
When you are going out with a girl, maybe you've talked to her on the phone, however, whatever means you have of getting set up with this girl, do you
Yeah.
tell her that you have the podcast?
Oh yeah. So for sure, good question. I used to not tell them. I used to be very secretive about it. And then I had an amazing girl. I'm just gonna say I don't, just come back to her, but this girl Rachel, another Rachel, not you Rachel, but another Rachel who played Megan. We called her Megan on the podcast, and she got happily married, by the way. So people who are like fearful to come on, you come on, you get married. She
Hopefully.
she called me out. She's like, she called me out like we actually saw each other for a little bit, and um, she's like, I asked you on the first date if you did any podcasting. You said no. She's like, you shouldn't run away from it. And I was like, oh, okay. And you know what? I really thought about it, and that and some other things kind of got me to be more open about it. So now, yeah, very open. I do it. This is me. Blah blah blah. Take it or leave it, sister.
No, because I mean, guys ask me what my hobbies are, and the podcast is it takes a lot of time. So sometimes I'll mention it, and they're like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, what's the podcast name?" And I'm like, "I don't know if I want to tell you yet." And then they find it.
Right.
They find my Instagram. It's linked. I'm not. It's not a secret. It's not hard to find my podcast.
Right. Just own it. Just own it. You
Yeah.
have to own
Okay.
your shiz in life. That is a big thing, Rachel. You
Okay.
got to just own it. But I get it. You're new to the podcast world. It is what it is,
Okay.
as Snoop used to say.
Okay. So now that I mean, usually I do own my stuff, and I'm very real. I've been told by a lot of guys they like it how real I keep it. So yeah, okay, from now on I'll just tell the guys the name of the podcast.
I can
They can
relate to
get
that,
scared off on their own.
I can relate to that, and see the problem is you're probably too real. Like there's a lot of BSing and faking, and that's the game. It sucks. but there is a little game to play, and I fight myself about it also. Like for like a good example, I found when dating a certain group of girls that I enjoy dating, but when they'd say, "Hey, what'd you do for fun?" I'd be like, "Oh, like ideal fun day is just 8 hours on the golf course," and they would be like, "Next." They call the shotgun right there, and I was like, "There's nothing wrong with that," but then for some time, I'd be like, "I wouldn't say it," but the truth is, like, why would I hide from that?
Yeah.
But at the same time, rebuts. It's like, you know what? There might be a little game to play, and it's interesting. I actually, there is an episode of Jimmy Fallon. There's a cute clip on YouTube. Go on YouTube. There's a cute clip of Jimmy Fallon, and he's interviewing the guy from The Big Bang Theory. One of the guys, I don't remember who. The Indian guy. Oh, he's so funny. So he's actually married to Miss deputy like front runner for Miss Universe, she was like the Miss India, beautiful couple, right? And so he's interviewing him. So it's adorable, funny clip. This guy's hilarious. So Jimmy asks him like, "Oh, so like what's changed since marriage?" So he's like, "Well, my first year, my wife used to call and she used to say, she used to ask me where I was, and I'd say I'm golfing, and she then kind of bitched to me later about how I wasn't home with her." So he said, "My second year of marriage, I realized that I would just tell her I'm working late." And then, and I'm like, bro, that's awesome. So anyway, yeah.
Okay. So I think you answered my questions about podcasting. I'm just going to keep it real. Tell the guys they can listen to any of my stories, and this is the real me. But okay, so one of the questions before we get to your Real Housewives tagline, because I know you're excited about that. One question that I do ask all my guests is, do you have any dating advice for my listeners? For sticky situations?
Oh, for your listeners. Oh my God. Where do I begin? Yeah, let me think here. I mean, I you know what? I'll do like a little bit of a summation of just some of the things I've mentioned in the show. The first thing was, it might not be in order, but the first thing that I remember is that I told them, like, remember to define expectations in the beginning. And, that's a little bit ambiguous exactly when, but you have to identify that early. Like, after a second, third day with a girl, and I would know I really wanted to like try to do, try to make something happen. I would tell her like, "Hey, look, I have very strict work hours, which I do. And I'm like unavailable from like 9 a.m. to like, 3 p.m. Like I just can't message, nothing. And I'm going to try to make myself available after, but like, set that expectation. And of course, you be a good bro and just like be a good boyfriend. And you just, you do message them every now and then you're like, I'm breaking the rules, but for you, darling." So that's a big one. Set expectations early. Just try to, always better to over communicate. I think the second thing I would just highlight is don't surf against the wave. Just ride with the wave. Maybe you're meant for someone more religious. Maybe you're meant for someone less religious. Maybe you're meant from someone from this town or that town. It's tricky at the end of the day because like when you're getting a resume or when you're swiping, I get it. You're going to want a certain look. You're going to want a certain this, but just open up the parameters. If it's a cute guy, if it's a cute girl, you're going to go out with them. Everyone knows that. So just be a little bit, open-minded and a little more perceptive of that. Those are like two things I would leave.
I think they're good. And then the moment you've been waiting for. Izak, what is your Real Housewives tagline?
All right. So from my girl, Erica, I'm an enigma wrapped in a riddle and gelt. Yeah, because it was cash and I changed it to gelt. So Erica, yo, she was on. Now I liked her when she first came in, and then I just got sick of her. And I didn't. Isn't her husband like? Didn't he get arrested? I don't even know.
Her
totally.
husband. There's a lawsuit. I think she just got a new lawsuit thrown on her. I don't know. I have to watch. I have to.
Well, she had a run. She had a good run, and you know what? I think that the most, it's it makes sense because Erica and her husband, I'm not going to say, I don't have any comments on that marriage, if you know what I'm saying. But she was able to like really highlight her boundaries in the relationship. And I think there's a lot to learn there. She had her life, he had his life, and they had a married shared life together. But she was so different with the other girls, and she was so different when, you know, she was with him. But that's how it is. Like that's how real life is, and that's how relationships are going to be. Can't escape it.
I agree. Well, Izak, thank you so much for coming and joining me and Sticky Situation Nation.
My pleasure. Yeah, sticky nation,
Sticky Situation Nation. And everybody, you can go listen to Izak's podcast, Nobody Talks Shidduchim. Go follow Izak on Instagram. I'll tag him in the post for the podcast. You can follow
and they can subscribe to the magazine, Macher's Magazine, the Jewish Men Lifestyle Magazine. I'm one of the editors there. I write some cool stuff on cigars and scotch and bourbon, so they can check that out too. And otherwise, they should know I'll be listening with them because I'm a fan of Sticky Situations.
Thank you. I'm excited to hear that, everybody. Okay, Sticky Situation Nation, thanks. I hope you enjoyed this episode and keep coming back for more. I'll catch you guys next time.
Peace out. As I end off, happy face, smiley face, silly face. We're on Sticky Situation.
Bye, everybody.